Hey guys, welcome to Bitcoin Math. My name is Shane. Today we're going to cover selling your Bitcoin to get cash versus borrowing the money that you need so you don't have to sell. Now, some people think that this is just about borrowing against your Bitcoin, but this could be any type of loan, whether you're borrowing against the Bitcoin that you're going to sell or you're just taking out a loan in general. Either way, there's multiple options to preserve the Bitcoin so you don't have to sell it. Now, one thing to note, if you need $100,000 and you only have $100,000 worth of Bitcoin collateral, well, you're typically only going to be able to borrow up to 70% of that value. So if you need 100K, well, then you might have to find some other ways to bridge the gap if you can only borrow 70K against that $100,000 in Bitcoin. Okay? But the big idea here is just that by selling your asset, you're going to incur a capital gains tax and you're going to lose your allocation to the asset itself. This is going to help you model that out and kind of see, well, what does that impact look like? What does the math say? So let's say I've got 2 Bitcoin, and let's say I've been holding these for a long time, so my capital gains tax is going to be lower, only 15%. Let's say my borrow APR is 10%, and let's say that I want to see what this looks like for a 3-year period. Now, if you've used my models before, then you know the icons here on the Bitcoin CAGR bar is Sailor bear case 21%, Sailor base case 29%, and Sailor bear or bull case 37%. For a 3-year loan term, I'm going to go ahead and say Sailor bull case 30. Well, it looks like 38%. So the math spits out here, and you've got 2 different scenarios, right? In the selling scenario, you're selling $228,000 worth of Bitcoin. You're paying about $34,000 in capital gains tax, meaning your net value is about $194,000. Okay. In the borrowing scenario, well, you're finding a way to borrow the money that you need so that you can keep the Bitcoin, right? And in this scenario, that's going to incur some interest. You're going to pay about $23,000 in interest per year in order to get this loan. And over the 3-year term, that's going to cost you about $69,000. But remember, this is going to allow you to keep your 2 Bitcoin, and based on the compound annual growth rate of 38% per year, at the end of this term, your 2 Bitcoin is actually going to be worth over $600,000. So when you subtract the amount of money that you owe in interest for your loan, that leaves your net position at right around $533,000 compared to if you sold it and got cash and paid cap gains tax, well, you're under $200,000. That means by borrowing the money and paying the interest and finding a way to make that work, well, you improved your long-term position by almost 3x. Well, what if Bitcoin only does a 20%? All right, let's check that out. Well, you're approaching a 2x multiple. Well, what if it only does 10%? Well, you're still about a 1.2x multiple because you didn't have to pay that cap gains tax, right? Well, what if it does 50%? Right? So this is why people talk about never selling their Bitcoin, because by selling it and by incurring the cap gains tax, you are A, spending money right then and there, and B, you are losing your allocation to the future appreciation of the asset, right? So if you absolutely have to sell, by all means, do what you have to do to live your life. But if you can find a way to borrow the money and you can preserve the asset, well, then you're also preserving the appreciation of the asset, especially if you're somebody who's bullish on Bitcoin and thinks that Bitcoin is going to continue to do the things that Bitcoin has been doing. All right. If you have questions, you want to send us a message, let us know how we can make this better, or just provide your general feedback, please feel free to do that. And with that, we appreciate your support, and we'll see you on the next one.